Picture this. At this very moment, as you sit listening to these words, every atom in your body is quietly obeying the same mathematical laws that might, in theory, allow you to step backward through time itself. The equations governing the motion of particles contain no fundamental prohibition against reversing the arrow of time. Yet here you are, moving inexorably forward through each passing second, unable to revisit yesterday or peek around tomorrow's corner. This isn't a limitation of technology or human ingenuity. This is one of the deepest mysteries hiding in plain sight within the fabric of our universe. Welcome back to another journey into the quiet mysteries of existence. I'm here to explore with you one of the most captivating questions that has ever emerged from the intersection of human curiosity and cosmic possibility. Tonight, we're asking whether time travel is truly possible in our universe, and more importantly, what the cutting edge of physics is revealing that most people never hear about. Before we drift into this exploration together, I want you to know that this conversation is designed to unfold gently, like watching dawn break over an infinite landscape. You don't need to memorize formulas or strain to follow complex arguments. Simply let these ideas wash over you as we examine what might be the universe's most elegant secret. The story we're about to explore begins with a simple but profound realization that emerged from Einstein's work over a century ago. Time, that most fundamental aspect of our experience, is not the rigid, unchanging constant that our ancestors imagined. Instead, it flows like a river that can speed up, slow down, and even curve back upon itself under the right conditions. Let me share something that might surprise you. Right now, as you listen to these words, time is moving differently for you than it is for the astronauts aboard the International Space Station. This isn't science fiction or theoretical speculation. This is measurable reality. The global positioning system that guides millions of drivers every day requires constant corrections for the fact that time literally runs faster in orbit than it does on Earth's surface. The satellites must adjust their clocks by about 45 microseconds each day to account for this difference. This phenomenon, called time dilation, represents our first glimpse into the malleable nature of time itself. Einstein discovered that the faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. It's as if the universe has a cosmic speed limit, and as you approach it, time itself begins to stretch and bend around you. Take a moment to consider what this means. Every journey you've ever taken, every step you've walked, has carried you infinitesimally into the future relative to someone standing still. The effect is so small in our everyday experience that it's completely imperceptible, but it's there nonetheless, woven into the very structure of reality. But time dilation from motion is just the beginning. Einstein also revealed that gravity itself can bend the flow of time. The stronger the gravitational field, the more dramatically time slows down. This means that time passes more quickly on the top floor of a skyscraper than in the basement, though the difference is measured in billionths of seconds. As you contemplate this, notice how it challenges our most basic assumptions about the nature of existence. We tend to think of time as the stage upon which life unfolds, but physics reveals something far more mysterious. Time isn't the stage at all. It's part of the performance itself, capable of being stretched, compressed, and sculpted by the very matter and energy it contains. This understanding opens the door to what physicists call forward time travel, not the dramatic leap through centuries that science fiction portrays, but a real, measurable journey into the future that becomes more pronounced under extreme conditions. An astronaut traveling at 99% of the speed of light would experience time so slowly that a journey lasting 1 year from their perspective might correspond to decades passing on Earth. The mathematics behind this is both elegant and startling. As your velocity approaches the speed of light, time dilation becomes more and more extreme. At 99.9% of light speed, 1 year of travel time would equal about 22 years on Earth. Push closer to light speed, and the effect becomes even more dramatic. This isn't theoretical anymore. Particle accelerators routinely create conditions where subatomic particles experience time dilation so extreme that their normally brief lifespans are extended by factors of thousands. But here's where the story becomes truly fascinating. While forward time, travel through speed or gravity, is well-established physics, the question of backward time travel opens up realms of possibility that challenge our deepest intuitions about cause and effect. The first serious mathematical framework for backward time travel emerged from an unexpected source. In 1949, the brilliant logician Kurt Gödel, famous for proving that mathematical systems contain inherent limitations, discovered something remarkable hidden within Einstein's equations. Gödel found that if the universe were rotating in a particular way, space-time itself could twist into loops that would allow travelers to return to their own past. Gödel's solution revealed something profound about the nature of space-time. The equations of general relativity, our best description of gravity and the large-scale structure of the universe, do not automatically forbid journeys backward through time. They simply require very specific and exotic conditions that, fortunately or unfortunately, don't appear to exist in our actual universe. This discovery opened a door that has never been fully closed. Physicists began to realize that time travel might not be impossible in principle, just extraordinarily difficult in practice. The mathematical structures that govern our reality seem to whisper hints about temporal possibilities while maintaining what appears to be a cosmic censorship that keeps them just out of reach. As we delve deeper into this mystery, we encounter one of the most intriguing concepts in modern physics: closed time-like curves. These are paths through space-time that loop back on themselves, creating the possibility for objects or information to interact with their own past. The phrase sounds abstract, but the implications are staggering. If such curves exist anywhere in our universe, they would represent genuine pathways for backward time travel. Recent research has revealed that closed time-like curves emerge naturally from several different scenarios in theoretical physics. They appear in the mathematics of rotating black holes, in certain configurations of cosmic strings, and in the exotic geometries that might exist near wormholes. Each of these represents a different doorway through which the arrow of time might be reversed. The concept of wormholes deserves special attention because it captures both the promise and the challenges of time travel research. A wormhole is essentially a tunnel through space-time, connecting two different regions of the universe or two different moments in time. Einstein himself, working with colleague Nathan Rosen, showed that his equations permitted such structures, though he never imagined they might be traversable. Modern research has revealed that wormholes, if they exist, would be extraordinarily unstable. They would collapse almost instantly unless supported by something called exotic matter, a hypothetical form of energy with negative density. This exotic matter would need to have properties unlike anything we've ever observed, creating a repulsive gravitational effect that could hold the wormhole open against its natural tendency to collapse. The challenge of exotic matter represents one of the fundamental barriers to practical time travel. Most scenarios that allow backward time travel require forms of matter or energy that may not exist in nature. It's as if the universe permits time travel in principle, while making it nearly impossible in practice. But recent developments have begun to chip away at some of these barriers. In 2024, an international team of physicists led by researchers from the University of Alberta and Charles University in Prague announced a potential breakthrough. They identified what they call ring wormholes, which might be able to create closed time-like curves under specific conditions without requiring the exotic matter that traditional wormhole theories demand. Their research suggests that if one end of a ring wormhole is positioned near a massive object, while the other end remains in relatively empty space, the difference in gravitational time dilation between the two ends might create a pathway for backward time travel. This represents a genuine loophole in our understanding of the physical laws that govern time travel possibilities. As you absorb these ideas, pause and imagine how they might reshape your understanding of reality itself. We live in a universe where the flow of time is not absolute, where the past and future might be connected by hidden pathways, and where the fundamental structure of space-time contains possibilities that stretch far beyond our everyday experience. The implications extend far beyond academic curiosity. If time travel were possible, even in principle, it would revolutionize our understanding of causality, free will, and the nature of existence itself. It would mean that the past is not fixed and immutable, but potentially accessible and perhaps even modifiable. Yet this possibility immediately confronts us with one of the most famous puzzles in theoretical physics, the grandfather paradox. This thought experiment asks what would happen if someone travelled back in time and prevented their own grandparents from meeting, thereby preventing their own birth and creating a logical contradiction. For decades, this paradox was considered a decisive argument against the possibility of backward time travel. If time travel inevitably leads to logical contradictions, many reasoned, then it simply cannot be possible. But recent research has begun to offer surprising solutions to these temporal puzzles. The Novikov self-consistency principle, proposed by Russian physicist Igor Novikov, suggests that the universe would naturally prevent paradoxes through a kind of cosmic self-correction. According to this principle, any attempt to change the past would be automatically frustrated by the universe's tendency toward logical consistency. Events would conspire to ensure that history unfolds exactly as it always has, making paradoxes impossible rather than inevitable. This principle finds unexpected support from quantum mechanics, which seems to offer its own solutions to the paradox problem. In quantum systems, researchers have discovered that closed time-like curves might naturally select only those histories that are self-consistent, effectively filtering out paradoxical outcomes before they can occur. As we continue to explore these deep waters of possibility and mystery, remember that we're not just discussing abstract mathematics or distant theoretical scenarios. We're examining questions that touch the very heart of what it means to exist in time, to experience causality, and to navigate the relationship between past, present, and future that defines our lived experience. The research into time travel continues to evolve, revealing new possibilities while highlighting the extraordinary barriers that stand between theoretical permission and practical implementation. Each discovery seems to deepen the mystery rather than resolve it, suggesting that our universe holds secrets about the nature of time that we're only beginning to glimpse. In our next segment, we'll explore how quantum mechanics adds entirely new dimensions to the time travel puzzle, revealing microscopic pathways through time that might exist even if large-scale time travel remains forbidden. We'll discover how the strange world of quantum physics offers both new hope for temporal travelers and new understanding of why time seems to flow in only one direction. But for now, as you sit in this present moment, take a breath and consider the profound mystery that surrounds you. You exist at the intersection of past and future, in a flowing moment that connects what was with what might be, and hidden within the mathematical laws that govern your existence lie hints of temporal possibilities that stretch far beyond the boundaries of ordinary experience. The quantum realm reveals something that might fundamentally change how we think about time travel. While Einstein's relativity showed us that time can be bent and stretched on cosmic scales, quantum mechanics whispers of even stranger possibilities hiding in the microscopic foundations of reality itself. Picture an electron spinning around an atomic nucleus in your coffee cup. According to quantum mechanics, that electron doesn't follow a definite path like a planet orbiting the sun. Instead, it exists in what physicists call a superposition, simultaneously occupying multiple possible orbits until the moment it's observed. This bizarre behavior suggests that, at the quantum level, particles seem to experience a fundamentally different relationship with time and causality than the objects of our everyday world. Recent experiments have begun to reveal that quantum systems might naturally create their own forms of time travel, operating by rules that seem to bypass the classical paradoxes that have long troubled physicists. When researchers create closed time-like curves in quantum systems, something remarkable happens. Instead of generating contradictions, these quantum time loops appear to automatically select only self-consistent histories, as if the universe has a built-in mechanism for avoiding paradoxes at the most fundamental level. This discovery emerged from the work of physicist David Deutsch, who showed that quantum mechanics might actually solve the grandfather paradox rather than succumb to it. In Deutsch's model, a quantum time traveler wouldn't simply erase their own existence by changing the past. Instead, they would create a new branch of reality where both the original timeline and the modified timeline coexist in quantum superposition. As you contemplate this idea, notice how it suggests that time travel might not be about changing a single, fixed history, but about navigating between multiple possible histories that exist simultaneously in the quantum realm. This perspective transforms the entire time travel discussion from a question of logical contradictions to an exploration of parallel possibilities. The implications become even more intriguing when we consider quantum entanglement, that mysterious connection between particles that Einstein famously called spooky action at a distance. When two particles become entangled, measuring one instantly affects the other, regardless of the distance between them. This instantaneous connection seems to transcend the normal limitations of space and time, suggesting that quantum systems might have access to forms of temporal correlation that classical physics cannot explain. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that entanglement might even connect events across time, creating what researchers call temporal correlations. These would be links between quantum events that occur at different moments, potentially allowing information to flow backward through time at the quantum scale. While this remains highly speculative, experimental evidence continues to reveal quantum phenomena that challenge our classical understanding of temporal order. Consider the quantum eraser experiment, where researchers can seemingly change the past behavior of photons by making measurements in the present. When a photon passes through a double-slit apparatus, it creates an interference pattern that suggests it went through both slits simultaneously. But if researchers later measure which slit the photon passed through, the interference pattern disappears retroactively, as if the photon's past behavior changed in response to future knowledge. This delayed choice behavior hints at something profound about the quantum nature of time itself. It suggests that the past might not be as fixed as we imagine, at least at the microscopic scale where quantum effects dominate. The act of observation doesn't just reveal pre-existing information about a quantum system. It appears to participate in determining what actually happened in the system's history. Now take a breath and consider how this might relate to your own experience of time and memory. While we don't yet understand how quantum effects might scale up to influence human consciousness or macroscopic events, these discoveries invite us to question our assumptions about the relationship between past, present, and future. The quantum perspective on time travel also reveals new possibilities for information processing that go far beyond classical computation. Researchers have shown that if closed time-like curves existed at the quantum level, they could theoretically perform computational tasks that are impossible with any conceivable classical or even quantum computer operating within normal time. These temporal computers could solve problems that would otherwise require infinite time or energy. This isn't just abstract speculation. Scientists have built quantum simulators that mimic the behavior of particles traveling through closed time-like curves, revealing that such systems naturally avoid paradoxes while enabling forms of information processing that seem almost magical from a classical perspective. The quantum time loops don't create contradictions. Instead, they create new kinds of logical consistency that expand our understanding of what's computationally possible. The research into quantum time travel has also uncovered fascinating connections to the nature of quantum measurement itself. When we observe a quantum system, we cause its wave function to collapse from a superposition of multiple possibilities into a single definite outcome. This measurement process appears to create an arrow of time at the quantum level, distinguishing between past and future in a way that the fundamental equations of quantum mechanics don't automatically provide. Some physicists have proposed that this measurement-induced arrow of time might be the key to understanding why we experience time flowing in only one direction, despite the fact that the underlying laws of physics are largely time-symmetric. The act of observation creates irreversible changes in quantum systems, building up a thermodynamic arrow of time that points from past to future. This perspective suggests that consciousness and observation might play a more fundamental role in the structure of time than we previously imagined. Not in the sense that human minds directly control quantum systems, but rather that the process of gaining information about the world naturally creates temporal asymmetry. Every measurement, every observation, every moment of awareness contributes to the universal flow of time from order toward entropy. As you absorb these ideas, notice how they begin to weave together different aspects of reality that we normally think of as separate. Quantum mechanics, consciousness, information theory, and the nature of time all seem to be intimately connected in ways that we're only beginning to understand. The quantum approach to time travel also offers new insights into one of the deepest mysteries in physics: the relationship between determinism and free will. Classical physics suggested that the future is completely determined by the present, leaving no room for genuine choice or novelty. But quantum mechanics introduces fundamental uncertainty into the fabric of reality, creating space for possibilities that cannot be predicted in advance. If quantum time travel were possible, it might allow us to explore different potential futures before committing to any particular timeline. This could represent a form of temporal free will, where conscious observers could navigate between possible histories rather than being trapped in a single predetermined sequence of events. Recent theoretical work has begun to explore what physicists call post-selection, where the future might influence the past through quantum correlations that work backward through time. This doesn't mean that later events cause earlier ones in the classical sense, but rather that the entire temporal sequence might be determined by a kind of consistency condition that takes into account both past and future constraints. This post-selective view of quantum mechanics suggests that the universe might be engaged in a kind of temporal negotiation, where past and future events influence each other through quantum correlations that transcend our normal understanding of causality. The present moment becomes not just the leading edge of time, but a focal point where multiple temporal influences converge to determine what actually happens. Consider how this might change your understanding of decision-making and choice. Instead of simply choosing between predetermined options, you might be participating in a quantum process that helps select which possible timeline becomes actualized. Your choices don't just affect the future, they participate in a larger pattern of temporal self-consistency that extends both forward and backward through time. The experimental investigation of quantum time travel continues to reveal surprises that challenge our deepest assumptions about the nature of reality. Researchers have discovered that quantum systems can sometimes violate causal order, with effects preceding their causes in ways that would be impossible in classical physics. These violations don't create paradoxes, but they do reveal that the quantum world operates according to rules that are far stranger and more flexible than anything we experience in everyday life. One of the most intriguing aspects of quantum time travel research is its connection to quantum field theory, the mathematical framework that describes how particles and forces interact at the most fundamental level. In quantum field theory, virtual particles constantly appear and disappear from the vacuum, creating and destroying themselves in processes that seem to violate conservation of energy over very short time intervals. These virtual particle interactions suggest that empty space itself is alive with temporal fluctuations, where cause and effect become blurred at the Planck scale, the smallest meaningful unit of space and time. At this microscopic level, the distinction between past and future might break down entirely, revealing a timeless realm where all possibilities exist simultaneously. As we continue our exploration of time travel possibilities, we're beginning to see how different scales of reality might operate according to different temporal rules. The macroscopic world of planets and people seems to follow classical causality, where effects follow causes in orderly sequence. But the microscopic quantum realm appears to permit forms of temporal correlation and influence that transcend our ordinary understanding of time's arrow. This multi-scale view of time suggests that time travel might not be a simple yes or no question, but rather a complex phenomenon that depends on the scale and context in which it occurs. Quantum time travel might be commonplace at the microscopic level, while remaining impossible or extremely rare at the scale of human experience. The boundary between these different temporal regimes remains one of the great mysteries in modern physics. Understanding where and why quantum time effects give way to classical causality could provide crucial insights into the fundamental nature of time itself. It might also reveal whether there are ways to amplify quantum temporal effects to create macroscopic time travel, or whether the universe contains built-in mechanisms that prevent such amplification. As you sit with these ideas, take a moment to appreciate the profound mystery that surrounds the nature of time in your own experience. Every moment of consciousness involves a complex interplay between memory and anticipation, past and future, that mirrors in some ways the temporal mysteries that physicists are discovering in quantum systems. While we don't yet know whether human consciousness directly participates in quantum temporal processes, the very act of contemplating these possibilities changes how we relate to time itself. When we begin to see time not as a fixed container for experience, but as a dynamic aspect of reality that can be bent, stretched, and perhaps even navigated, our entire relationship to past, present, and future begins to transform. The quantum perspective on time travel also raises fascinating questions about the nature of identity and continuity across time. If multiple timelines can coexist in quantum superposition, what does this mean for personal identity? Are there multiple versions of yourself existing simultaneously across different quantum branches of reality? These questions push us to the very edge of what current science can address, but they point toward deeper mysteries about consciousness, identity, and the relationship between mind and the quantum foundations of reality. While no scientific consensus exists on these matters, the questions themselves reveal how our growing understanding of time travel possibilities is beginning to reshape fundamental questions about human existence. In our next exploration, we'll delve into the most exotic and speculative mechanisms for time travel that theoretical physics has revealed, including the possibility that our universe itself might be a kind of time machine, and how recent discoveries about the nature of black holes, cosmic strings, and the multiverse are opening entirely new pathways for temporal exploration that go far beyond anything Einstein could have imagined. The most exotic pathways to time travel emerge not from our familiar world of stars and planets, but from the strangest objects in the universe. Black holes, those cosmic monsters that devour light itself, might hold keys to temporal travel that make wormholes seem almost mundane by comparison. As you settle deeper into contemplation, consider this. The event horizon of a black hole represents a boundary where time itself begins to break down in ways that challenge every assumption we hold about past and future. Near a black hole, gravitational time dilation becomes so extreme that it transforms the very meaning of temporal experience. An observer falling toward the event horizon would experience time normally from their own perspective. But to someone watching from a safe distance, that falling observer would appear to slow down, their image growing redder and dimmer until it seems frozen forever at the moment of crossing the horizon. This isn't an illusion or a limitation of observation. This represents a fundamental fracturing of time itself into multiple, incompatible perspectives. The mathematics describing this phenomenon reveals something profound about the nature of time near extreme gravitational fields. From the perspective of the distant observer, the falling traveller never actually crosses the event horizon. They remain suspended there eternally, their last moment before disappearance stretched across infinite time. But from the traveller's own perspective, they pass through the horizon and continue their journey toward the singularity at the centre, experiencing only finite time before reaching that mysterious point where space-time itself breaks down. This dual nature of time near black holes suggests possibilities for temporal manipulation that go far beyond simple time dilation. Some theoretical models propose that the interior of a black hole might contain closed time-like curves, pathways through space-time that loop back on themselves. If these curves exist, they would create regions where cause and effect become scrambled, where travelers might encounter their own past or future selves in ways that challenge our fundamental understanding of identity and causality. But black holes offer even stranger temporal possibilities through their connection to what physicists call white holes. While a black hole is a region from which nothing can escape, a white hole would be its time-reversed twin, a region from which nothing could enter, but from which matter and energy constantly emerge. These hypothetical objects would represent the other end of Einstein-Rosen bridges, the formal name for what we commonly call wormholes. Recent research has revealed that the mathematics of general relativity permits even more exotic structures called traversable wormholes, theoretical tunnels through space-time that could connect not just different locations, but different moments in time. Unlike the unstable Einstein-Rosen bridges that collapse almost instantly, traversable wormholes could theoretically remain open long enough for matter, energy, or even human travelers to pass through. The key to creating stable traversable wormholes lies in understanding what physicists call exotic matter, a hypothetical form of energy with negative density that would create repulsive gravitational effects. This exotic matter would need to possess properties unlike anything we've ever observed in nature, essentially turning gravity inside out to prevent the wormhole from collapsing under its own curvature. As you absorb these concepts, notice how they push against the boundaries of what seems possible while remaining grounded in rigorous mathematical frameworks. The universe appears to permit these exotic structures in principle, while making them extraordinarily difficult to achieve in practice, as if reality maintains a delicate balance between possibility and prohibition. The search for exotic matter has led researchers to investigate some of the strangest phenomena in quantum field theory. The Casimir effect, where two parallel plates in a vacuum experience an attractive force due to quantum fluctuations, demonstrates that negative energy densities can exist on microscopic scales. While these effects are far too weak to stabilize macroscopic wormholes, they prove that the universe does contain forms of energy that behave in ways that classical physics would consider impossible. This discovery has opened new avenues of research into what theorists call quantum field theory in curved spacetime, the mathematical framework that describes how quantum effects behave near black holes, wormholes, and other exotic objects. These studies have revealed that spacetime itself might be far more dynamic and flexible than Einstein originally imagined, capable of supporting structures and processes that blur the distinction between matter, energy, space, and time. One of the most intriguing developments in this field involves the study of cosmic strings, hypothetical one-dimensional objects that might have formed in the early universe during phase transitions in the quantum vacuum. These strings, if they exist, would be incredibly thin but possess enormous mass, creating gravitational fields so intense that they could distort spacetime in ways that permit closed, time-like curves. Two cosmic strings passing by each other at high speeds could theoretically create a region where spacetime becomes so twisted that time loops back on itself. A traveller following the right trajectory around such a configuration might return to their starting point, not just in space, but in time as well, having completed a journey that brings them back to an earlier moment in their own past. The mathematics describing cosmic string interactions reveal another fascinating aspect of potential time travel mechanisms. Unlike wormholes, which require exotic matter to remain stable, cosmic strings could create closed time-like curves using only the ordinary matter and energy that we know exists in the universe. The catch is that these strings would need to be moving at speeds approaching the speed of light, and they would need to be precisely positioned and timed to create the necessary space-time geometry. This possibility has led some researchers to investigate whether advanced civilizations might be able to manipulate cosmic strings to create what could be called temporal engineering projects. These would be massive constructions on cosmic scales designed to bend and shape space-time itself to permit controlled time travel. While such projects remain far beyond our current technological capabilities, they represent one of the few scenarios where time travel might be achieved without requiring physics beyond our current understanding. Take a moment to contemplate what this might mean for our understanding of the universe's future. If time travel is possible through cosmic engineering, then sufficiently advanced civilizations might already have built temporal pathways that connect different eras of cosmic history. We might be living in a universe where time travelers from the far future occasionally visit earlier epochs, perhaps including our own. This possibility connects to one of the most famous paradoxes in time travel discussions, Fermi's temporal paradox, which asks why, if time travel is possible, we haven't been visited by tourists from the future. Stephen Hawking addressed this question with characteristic wit, noting that the absence of time travelers from the future might be one of our strongest pieces of evidence that backward time travel remains impossible. But recent theoretical developments have begun to offer alternative explanations for this apparent absence. Some models suggest that time travel might be possible, but naturally self-limiting, creating closed causal loops that prevent paradoxes while also preventing large-scale historical interventions. Other theories propose that time travelers from the future might be bound by cosmic censorship principles that prevent them from creating detectable changes in the past. The investigation of these temporal paradoxes has led to some of the most sophisticated work in theoretical physics, combining general relativity, quantum mechanics, and information theory in ways that reveal deep connections between seemingly unrelated aspects of reality. The study of closed time-like curves has illuminated fundamental questions about the nature of causality, determinism, and the relationship between physical law and logical consistency. One particularly intriguing approach to resolving temporal paradoxes involves the application of quantum mechanics to general relativistic time travel scenarios. When quantum effects are taken into account, closed time-like curves might naturally select only those histories that are self-consistent, effectively filtering out paradoxical outcomes through a process that resembles quantum mechanical measurement. This quantum approach to time travel suggests that the universe might possess a kind of built-in temporal immune system, allowing time travel to occur while preventing the logical contradictions that would threaten the consistency of physical law. The mechanism would work not by prohibiting time travel entirely, but by ensuring that any time travel that does occur contributes to a causally consistent overall history. As you consider these ideas, notice how they reveal the profound interconnectedness of different aspects of reality that we normally think of as separate. Time, space, matter, energy, causality, consciousness, and information all seem to be woven together in a cosmic tapestry whose patterns we're only beginning to glimpse. The most recent developments in time travel research have begun to explore connections to some of the deepest mysteries in modern physics, including the nature of dark energy and the possibility of multiple universes. Dark energy, the mysterious force that appears to be accelerating the expansion of our universe, might itself be related to exotic forms of matter that could theoretically be used to create or stabilize wormholes. Some speculative models propose that dark energy represents a kind of vacuum energy that permeates all of space, creating a background tension that drives cosmic expansion. If this energy could be concentrated or manipulated, it might provide the negative energy density needed to create traversable wormholes without requiring the exotic matter that has long seemed impossible to obtain. These investigations have also revealed unexpected connections between time travel and the multiverse hypothesis, the idea that our universe might be just one of many parallel realities existing in a larger cosmic structure. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that every quantum measurement creates a branching point where reality splits into multiple parallel histories, each representing a different possible outcome. If this many worlds interpretation is correct, then time travel might not involve changing a single fixed history, but rather navigating between different branches of a vast branching structure of parallel realities. A time traveler wouldn't alter their own past, but might instead visit parallel versions of historical events that exist simultaneously in different branches of the quantum multiverse. This perspective transforms the grandfather paradox from a logical contradiction into a navigation problem. A time traveler who prevented their grandparents from meeting wouldn't erase their own existence, but would instead find themselves in a parallel branch where they were never born. The original timeline would continue to exist in a separate branch of reality, preserving causal consistency while allowing for temporal exploration. The multiverse approach to time travel also suggests new possibilities for information exchange across time that don't require physical travel through closed time-like curves. If parallel realities can influence each other through quantum correlations, then information about future events might be accessible in the present through careful observation of quantum systems that are entangled across different branches of the multiverse. This remains highly speculative, but experimental research into quantum foundations continues to reveal phenomena that challenge our classical understanding of information flow and causal structure. Some interpretations of these experiments suggest that the future might influence the present through quantum correlations that work backward through time, creating what researchers call retrocausal effects. As we approach the outer boundaries of what current physics can address, take a breath and consider how these explorations might change your relationship to time itself. When we begin to see time not as a fixed container for experience, but as a dynamic aspect of reality that can be bent, shaped, and perhaps even navigated, our entire understanding of past, present, and future begins to transform. The practical implications of time travel research extend far beyond the possibility of building actual time machines. The investigation of closed time-like curves has led to advances in quantum information theory, revealing new possibilities for quantum computation and cryptography that might be achievable even if time travel itself remains impossible. The study of exotic matter has contributed to our understanding of dark energy and the accelerating expansion of the universe, while research into wormhole physics has illuminated fundamental questions about the relationship between general relativity and quantum mechanics. Even if time travel proves impossible, the attempt to understand it continues to drive theoretical physics toward deeper insights into the nature of reality itself. The mathematical frameworks developed for analysing temporal paradoxes have found applications in fields ranging from computer science to philosophy, providing new tools for understanding causality, determinism, and the logical structure of complex systems. The very act of taking time travel seriously as a subject of scientific investigation has enriched our understanding of logic, causality, and the relationship between physical possibility and mathematical consistency. Perhaps most importantly, the study of time travel has revealed that the universe is far stranger and more flexible than our everyday experience suggests. The familiar world of cause and effect, of fixed past and open future, represents only the surface layer of a deeper reality where time itself becomes malleable under extreme conditions. This recognition invites us to approach the mystery of time with greater humility and wonder. We exist as conscious observers, embedded in the flow of time, experiencing past and future through the narrow window of the present moment. But the mathematical structures that govern our reality whisper of temporal possibilities that stretch far beyond our direct experience, hinting at aspects of existence that remain hidden from ordinary perception. As you sit with these ideas, allow yourself to feel the profound mystery that surrounds the nature of time in your own life. Every memory you carry represents a form of time travel, a way of accessing past moments that continue to exist in the structure of your consciousness. Every anticipation of the future represents a kind of temporal projection, a way of extending your awareness beyond the confines of the present instant. While we don't yet know whether human consciousness directly participates in the quantum processes that might permit time travel, the very capacity to contemplate these possibilities reveals something remarkable about the nature of awareness itself. Consciousness appears to transcend the simple forward flow of time, creating a kind of temporal dimensionality that allows us to hold past, present, and future simultaneously within the space of a single moment of reflection. This perspective suggests that even if time travel remains forever beyond our technological reach, we already possess forms of temporal access through memory, imagination, and contemplation that mirror in some ways the exotic processes that theoretical physics has revealed in the quantum realm. The boundaries between subjective time and physical time might be less clear-cut than we typically assume. In our final exploration, we'll discover how the search for time travel has led to revolutionary insights about the nature of consciousness itself, and how recent discoveries about the relationship between mind and quantum reality suggest that we might already be time travelers in ways that science is only beginning to understand. We'll explore whether the ultimate time machine might not be a device built from exotic matter and curved space-time, but consciousness itself, operating according to principles that bridge the gap between the quantum and classical worlds. But for now, as you rest in this moment of contemplation, take time to appreciate the extraordinary mystery that surrounds your own existence in time. You are a conscious being, embedded in the flow of cosmic history, capable of remembering the past and imagining the future, while experiencing the eternal present of immediate awareness. In this capacity alone, you participate in temporal processes that remain among the deepest mysteries in all of science and philosophy. The deepest mystery of time travel might not lie in exotic machines or curved space-time, but in something far more intimate and immediate, the nature of consciousness itself. As you sit quietly in this moment, your mind effortlessly performs what might be the universe's most sophisticated form of temporal navigation. You remember breakfast from this morning while simultaneously anticipating tomorrow's obligations, all while experiencing the flowing present of this very instant. This seamless integration of past, present, and future within a single moment of awareness represents a form of time travel so fundamental that we rarely pause to consider its profound implications. Recent discoveries in neuroscience and quantum biology have begun to reveal that consciousness operates according to principles that mirror some of the strangest aspects of quantum mechanics. The human brain appears to maintain quantum coherence in certain neural structures for periods far longer than classical physics would predict, suggesting that our minds might have direct access to quantum processes that could, in principle, transcend ordinary temporal limitations. Consider the phenomenon often described as precognition, where individuals report experiencing knowledge of future events before they occur. While mainstream science remains appropriately skeptical of such claims, controlled laboratory studies have documented statistical anomalies in human perception that appear to correlate with future random events. These effects are subtle and controversial, but they persist across multiple experimental paradigms with a consistency that challenges purely classical explanations of consciousness and time. The Global Consciousness Project, operating from Princeton University, has spent decades monitoring random number generators around the world, looking for correlations between their outputs and major global events. The data suggests that during moments of intense collective focus, such as the September 11th attacks or major natural disasters, these quantum random systems show small but statistically significant departures from pure randomness. While this remains unproven and no scientific consensus exists on the interpretation of these results, the correlations hint at connections between consciousness and quantum systems that we don't yet fully understand. Take a moment to notice your own experience of temporal awareness right now. As you listen to these words, your consciousness seems to exist in a kind of eternal present that somehow contains traces of the past and anticipations of the future. This temporal depth of awareness doesn't correspond to any simple physical process happening in your brain. Instead, it suggests that consciousness might operate according to principles that transcend the classical flow of time. Recent research in quantum biology has revealed that living systems routinely exploit quantum effects that classical physics would predict should be impossible in the warm, noisy environment of biological tissue. Plants use quantum coherence in photosynthesis to find the most efficient energy transfer pathways. Birds appear to navigate using quantum entanglement in specialized proteins in their eyes. Even the process of smell might depend on quantum tunneling effects that allow molecules to be recognized by their vibrational signatures rather than just their chemical shapes. These discoveries suggest that life itself has learned to harness quantum mechanics in ways that go far beyond what early physicists thought possible. If biological systems can maintain quantum coherence under conditions that should destroy it, then perhaps consciousness represents the ultimate expression of life's ability to transcend classical physical limitations. The implications become even more intriguing when we consider the role of observation in quantum mechanics. The act of measurement doesn't just reveal pre-existing properties of quantum systems. It appears to participate in determining which of many possible outcomes actually occurs. This suggests that consciousness, as the ultimate observer, might play a more fundamental role in the structure of reality than we've traditionally assumed. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that consciousness might be the mechanism through which the universe selects one timeline from among many possible quantum histories. This remains speculative and highly controversial, but it points toward a vision of reality where mind and matter are more intimately connected than classical physics would suggest. As you contemplate these ideas, notice how they begin to reshape your understanding of your own role in the cosmic story. Rather than being a passive observer of an objective universe unfolding according to predetermined laws, you might be an active participant in a quantum reality where consciousness and physical processes engage in a continuous dance of mutual influence. This perspective finds unexpected support in certain interpretations of quantum field theory, which describe reality as an endless sea of quantum fluctuations from which particles and forces emerge through complex patterns of interference and resonance. In this view, consciousness might represent a particular kind of pattern in the quantum field, one that's capable of organizing and directing the flow of information in ways that transcend ordinary physical boundaries. The relationship between consciousness and time becomes even more mysterious when we consider the phenomenon of meditation and its effects on temporal perception. Experienced meditators report states of awareness where time seems to stop or expand, where past and future dissolve into an eternal present that feels more real than ordinary temporal experience. While these reports are subjective, brain imaging studies reveal that meditation produces measurable changes in neural activity patterns that correspond to altered states of temporal processing. During deep meditative states, the brain's default mode network, which is normally active during self-referential thinking and temporal planning, shows dramatic decreases in activity. Meanwhile, regions associated with present moment awareness become more active and more coherently synchronized. This suggests that the ordinary experience of linear time might be constructed by specific patterns of brain activity, and that alternative states of consciousness might provide access to different temporal experiences. Some meditation traditions describe experiences interpreted as multiple timelines, or gaining access to information about past and future events through direct intuitive knowing rather than logical deduction. While these claims remain scientifically unverified, they point toward possibilities for consciousness that go far beyond our current understanding of mind and time. The investigation of consciousness-based time phenomena has led researchers to explore connections between meditation, quantum mechanics, and information theory. Some theoretical frameworks suggest that consciousness might operate as a kind of quantum information processing system, capable of accessing and integrating information across different temporal scales through non-local quantum correlations. This remains highly speculative, but it's supported by the observation that consciousness seems to possess computational capabilities that exceed what classical neural networks should be able to achieve. The binding problem in neuroscience, which asks how the brain integrates millions of separate neural processes into unified conscious experience, remains unsolved despite decades of research. Some theorists propose that quantum coherence effects might provide the mechanism for this integration. As you absorb these possibilities, take a breath and consider how they might illuminate your own experience of consciousness and time. Every moment of awareness involves a complex integration of sensory information, memory, expectation, and immediate experience that creates the seamless flow of conscious life. This integration happens so naturally that we rarely question how it's possible, yet it represents one of the most sophisticated information processing achievements in the known universe. The relationship between consciousness and quantum mechanics also raises profound questions about the nature of identity and continuity across time. If consciousness operates through quantum processes that exist in superposition, until observed, then personal identity might be far more fluid and multidimensional than we typically assume. The self that experiences this moment might be subtly different from the self that experienced the previous moment, connected through quantum correlations rather than simple classical continuity. This perspective finds resonance in certain interpretations of Buddhist philosophy, which describes personal identity as a flowing process rather than a fixed entity. The doctrine of dependent origination suggests that all phenomena, including consciousness, arise through complex webs of interconnection rather than independent existence. This view aligns surprisingly well with quantum mechanical descriptions of reality as networks of correlation and entanglement. Recent research in consciousness studies has begun to explore whether subjective time might be fundamentally different from physical time. While clocks measure the regular progression of physical processes, conscious time appears to be elastic, speeding up during moments of crisis and slowing down during peak experiences. This temporal flexibility of consciousness suggests that awareness might operate according to principles that transcend the classical flow of space-time. The study of near-death experiences has revealed consistent reports of time distortion and life review processes where individuals report experiencing entire lifetimes in moments of clinical unconsciousness. While these experiences remain scientifically controversial, their consistency across cultures and individuals suggests that consciousness might have access to temporal experiences that go far beyond ordinary waking awareness. Some researchers have proposed that consciousness might function as a kind of temporal lens, capable of focusing awareness on different temporal scales from microseconds to lifetimes. This would explain why we can shift our attention from immediate sensory experience to long-term planning to transcendent states that seem to exist outside of time altogether. The implications of consciousness-based time travel extend beyond individual experience to collective and cultural phenomena. The morphic field theory, proposed by biologist Rupert Sheldrake, suggests that consciousness might participate in collective information fields that transcend individual minds and potentially even individual lifetimes. While this theory remains controversial, it points toward possibilities for consciousness that could theoretically access information across extended temporal scales. The investigation of consciousness and time has also revealed connections to creativity and insight processes that seem to transcend ordinary temporal limitations. Artists, scientists, and inventors often report receiving complete creative works or solutions to complex problems in sudden moments of inspiration that seem to come from outside normal thinking processes. These experiences suggest that consciousness might have access to information processing capabilities that operate according to non-classical principles. As you sit with these ideas, notice how they begin to transform your relationship to your own conscious experience. Rather than being trapped in the narrow confines of the present moment, you might be participating in temporal processes that connect you to past and future in ways that transcend ordinary causality. Every moment of awareness becomes a doorway into deeper mysteries about the nature of mind, time, and reality itself. The practical implications of consciousness-based approaches to time travel remain largely unexplored, but they suggest directions for investigation that go far beyond building physical time machines. If consciousness naturally possesses temporal capabilities that we don't yet understand, then perhaps the ultimate time travel technology lies not in manipulating external space-time, but in developing our own awareness to access its full potential. This perspective invites us to approach consciousness with the same scientific rigor that we bring to studying black holes and quantum fields. The systematic investigation of meditative states, peak experiences, and altered consciousness could potentially reveal temporal capabilities that have remained hidden within the ordinary operations of awareness itself. The relationship between consciousness and time also connects to fundamental questions about the nature of free will and determinism. If consciousness can access information across temporal boundaries, then perhaps the choices we make in the present are informed by knowledge of their future consequences in ways that we don't consciously recognize. This would represent a form of temporal feedback that could help explain the apparent purposefulness of conscious decision-making. Recent research in decision science has revealed that people often make optimal choices without being able to explain their reasoning, suggesting that consciousness might have access to information processing capabilities that operate below the threshold of explicit awareness. Some of this processing might involve temporal correlations that allow present decisions to be influenced by their future outcomes through quantum mechanical pathways that remain to be fully understood. As we approach the conclusion of our exploration into time travel possibilities, take a moment to reflect on how these investigations have expanded your understanding of your own existence in time. We've journeyed from Einstein's discoveries about the relativity of time through the exotic possibilities of wormholes and cosmic strings to the quantum foundations of reality, and finally to the temporal mysteries of consciousness itself. Each level of investigation has revealed new possibilities while highlighting the profound interconnectedness of mind matter, space, and time. The universe appears to be far stranger and more flexible than our everyday experience suggests, containing pathways for temporal exploration that range from the well-established physics of time dilation to the highly speculative possibilities of consciousness-based time travel. What emerges from this investigation is not a definitive answer to whether time travel is possible, but rather a deeper appreciation for the mystery of time itself. Time is not simply the stage upon which existence unfolds, but an active participant in the cosmic dance capable of being stretched, curved, and perhaps even navigated through principles that we are only beginning to understand. The search for time travel has revealed that we already live in a universe where temporal possibilities exceed our wildest imagination. From the quantum realm, where past and future become entangled, to the cosmic scales, where space-time bends under the influence of massive objects, reality contains temporal dimensions that challenge every assumption we hold about the nature of existence. Perhaps most importantly, this exploration has revealed that we ourselves might be the ultimate time travel technology. Through consciousness, we have access to forms of temporal experience that transcend the simple, forward flow of physical time. Every moment of awareness represents a kind of temporal navigation that integrates past, present, and future in ways that remain among the deepest mysteries in science. As you continue to contemplate these ideas, remember that the investigation of time travel possibilities continues to evolve. New discoveries in quantum mechanics, general relativity, and consciousness research regularly reveal phenomena that expand our understanding of what might be possible within the structure of our universe. Whether or not we ever build physical time machines, the very act of taking time travel seriously as a subject of scientific investigation has enriched our understanding of reality itself. It has revealed connections between seemingly separate aspects of existence and opened doorways to mysteries that stretch far beyond the boundaries of ordinary experience. The ultimate significance of time travel research might not lie in its practical applications, but in its capacity to expand our sense of what's possible within the cosmos we inhabit. It invites us to approach existence with greater wonder, recognizing that we participate in temporal processes that are far more mysterious and profound than our everyday awareness typically acknowledges. As you move forward from this exploration, carry with you an appreciation for the extraordinary mystery of your own existence in time. You exist as an eternal present of immediate awareness, a conscious being embedded in the flow of cosmic history, capable of remembering the past and imagining the future, while experiencing the that remain at the very frontier of human understanding. The universe may or may not permit the construction of time machines, but it has already created something far more remarkable. Conscious beings capable of contemplating their own existence in time and space, capable of asking whether the impossible might be possible, and capable of finding in that questioning a pathway to deeper understanding of the cosmic mystery in which we all participate. And as we close this gentle journey through the temporal possibilities that hide within the fabric of our universe, you might find yourself curious about other hidden patterns and connections that consciousness can reveal. The same awareness that allows us to contemplate time travel might also provide access to subtle communications from the universe itself, messages and synchronicities that most people overlook, but that could transform your understanding of your place in the cosmic story. But perhaps the most profound revelation about time travel isn't hidden in the mathematics of curved space-time or the exotic properties of quantum fields. It lies in something far more immediate and accessible, the extraordinary nature of memory itself. Every time you close your eyes and recall a childhood afternoon, you're performing what might be the universe's most elegant form of temporal navigation. That memory isn't just a recording of the past, it's a living bridge that connects your present consciousness to moments that existed decades ago, allowing you to experience sights, sounds, and emotions that technically no longer exist anywhere in the physical universe. This capacity for temporal connection through memory represents something that classical physics never predicted and quantum mechanics is only beginning to illuminate. When you remember your grandmother's voice or the feeling of summer rain, you're accessing information that has somehow persisted across years or decades, encoded not just in neural networks, but in patterns of experience that seem to transcend the simple forward flow of time. Recent research in memory formation has revealed that remembering isn't simply playing back stored information like a mental video recording. Instead, each act of remembering reconstructs the past in the present moment, combining stored fragments with current knowledge and emotional context to create a new version of the remembered event. This means that memory represents a form of time travel where past and present continuously influence each other, creating temporal loops that reshape both what we remember and who we become. The neuroscience of memory has uncovered something even more remarkable. When you vividly recall a past experience, many of the same neural networks that were active during the original event become active again. Your brain literally recreates aspects of past states of consciousness, allowing you to re-experience emotions, sensations, and insights that emerged in earlier moments of your life. This represents a form of neural time travel that happens millions of times each day, mostly without our conscious awareness. As you contemplate this idea, take a moment to notice how memory operates in your own experience right now. Perhaps you can recall the last time you felt truly peaceful, or a moment when you suddenly understood something important. Notice how accessing that memory doesn't just give you information about the past. It actually brings aspects of that past experience into your present awareness, creating a temporal bridge that connects different moments of your existence. This bridging quality of memory extends beyond individual experience into collective and cultural dimensions that suggest even more profound connections between consciousness and time. Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious proposed that human beings share access to archetypal patterns and memories that transcend individual lifetimes. While this remains unproven and no scientific consensus exists on these ideas, Jung's observations point toward possibilities for memory and consciousness that could theoretically extend across temporal boundaries we don't yet understand. Indigenous wisdom traditions from around the world describe forms of ancestral memory where individuals can access the experiences and knowledge of previous generations through dreams, visions, and altered states of consciousness. These traditions suggest that memory might not be confined to individual brains, but could be part of larger informational fields that connect conscious beings across extended temporal scales. The phenomenon of genetic memory adds another layer to these mysteries. Scientists have discovered that traumatic experiences can create epigenetic changes that are passed down through generations, causing descendants to exhibit stress responses to situations they've never directly encountered. This suggests that memory, in some form, can literally travel through time via biological inheritance, carrying forward the experiential signatures of past events into future generations. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of memory's relationship to time travel lies in what researchers call prospective memory, our ability to remember to do things in the future. This capacity requires consciousness to project itself forward through time, maintaining intentions and plans across temporal gaps that might span minutes, hours, or even years. When you remember to call a friend on their birthday or to pick up groceries on the way home from work, you're demonstrating a form of temporal navigation that allows present decisions to influence future actions. The mechanics of prospective memory reveal something profound about consciousness and time. Your brain creates what neuroscientists call future-directed intentions that remain dormant until triggered by specific temporal or contextual cues. This process requires consciousness to exist simultaneously in multiple temporal dimensions, maintaining awareness of present circumstances while holding future-oriented goals that guide current behaviour. Recent studies of prospective memory have uncovered connections to the brain's default mode network, the same neural system that becomes active during meditation and self-referential thinking. This network appears to specialise in temporal integration, constantly weaving together past experiences, present circumstances, and future possibilities into coherent narratives that guide decision-making and behaviour. See, the default mode network's role in temporal integration becomes particularly fascinating when we consider its activity during states of reduced consciousness, such as sleep and anesthesia. Even when explicit awareness is diminished, this network continues to process temporal information, maintaining the continuity of personal identity across gaps in conscious experience. This suggests that temporal navigation might be one of consciousness's most fundamental functions, operating continuously even when we're not explicitly aware of it. As you sit with these ideas, notice how they illuminate the extraordinary nature of your own moment-to-moment experience Right now, as you listen to these words, your consciousness is seamlessly integrating memories from earlier today with anticipations of tomorrow's activities, all while processing the immediate sensory information of this present moment. This temporal integration happens so naturally that we rarely appreciate its complexity, yet it represents one of the most sophisticated information processing achievements in the known universe. The relationship between memory and time becomes even more mysterious when we consider the phenomenon of déjà vu, that strange experience of feeling that you've lived through the current moment before. Neuroscientific research suggests that déjà vu might result from temporary disruptions in the brain's temporal processing systems, creating moments where present experience feels like remembered experience. This represents a kind of temporal confusion where the normal boundaries between past and present become blurred. Some interpretations suggest that déjà vu might represent brief glimpses of parallel timelines or quantum possibilities that exist simultaneously with our experienced reality. While this remains highly speculative, the universality of déjà vu experiences across cultures and individuals suggests that consciousness might occasionally access forms of temporal information that transcend ordinary linear experience. The investigation of memory's temporal properties has also revealed connections to creativity and insight that seem to transcend normal causality. Many artists, scientists, and inventors report that their most significant creative breakthroughs emerged not from logical thinking, but from sudden moments of remembering ideas or solutions that felt like they had always existed. These experiences suggest that creativity might involve accessing information from temporal dimensions that extend beyond immediate conscious awareness. The mathematician Srinivasa Ramanujan famously claimed that mathematical theorems were revealed to him in dreams by the Hindu goddess Namagiri. While we cannot scientifically verify divine inspiration, Ramanujan's mathematical insights proved to be extraordinarily sophisticated and accurate, often anticipating mathematical discoveries that weren't formally proven until decades later. This suggests that creative consciousness might have access to forms of temporal information that extend beyond ordinary cognitive processes. Similar phenomena appear in the history of scientific discovery, where researchers have reported receiving complete theories or experimental designs through dreams, visions, or sudden intuitive insights. The structure of benzene, the periodic table of elements, and the theory of evolution all emerge through processes that seem to bypass normal logical analysis, suggesting that scientific discovery might involve forms of temporal accessing that we don't yet understand. As you contemplate these possibilities, pause and notice how creativity operates in your own experience. Perhaps you've had moments when solutions to problems seem to appear spontaneously, or when artistic expressions emerged that felt like they came from beyond your ordinary thinking. These experiences point toward aspects of consciousness that might naturally access information across temporal boundaries, revealing possibilities that exist beyond the confines of present moment awareness. The study of memory and time has also illuminated the role of sleep and dreaming in temporal navigation. During sleep, the brain appears to engage in sophisticated temporal processing that consolidates memories, integrates experiences, and sometimes generates prophetic or problem-solving dreams that provide information relevant to future challenges. Research has shown that sleep plays a crucial role in memory consolidation, transferring information from temporary storage in the hippocampus to more permanent storage in the cortex. But this process involves more than simple data transfer. Sleep appears to reorganize memories, creating new associations and insights that weren't present during the original experiences. This suggests that sleep represents a form of temporal alchemy, where past experiences are transformed into future wisdom. The phenomenon of lucid dreaming adds another dimension to sleep's temporal capabilities. In lucid dreams, consciousness becomes aware that it's dreaming while remaining within the dream state. This creates a unique form of temporal experience where dreamers can consciously explore imaginary scenarios while maintaining awareness of their sleeping physical body. Some lucid dreamers report using this state to rehearse future events, solve problems, or access creative insights that prove useful in waking life. Recent research has begun to explore whether lucid dreaming might provide access to forms of temporal information that transcend ordinary causality. While this remains speculative, the consistency of reports across cultures suggests that dream consciousness might operate according to temporal principles that differ from waking awareness. The investigation of memory, dreams, and consciousness has revealed that we might already be natural time travelers, constantly navigating between past, present, and future through processes so fundamental that we rarely question their extraordinary nature. Every moment of awareness represents a convergence of temporal dimensions that creates the continuous experience of conscious life. This perspective invites us to approach our own consciousness with greater appreciation and curiosity. Rather than taking memory, anticipation, and present moment awareness for granted, we might begin to see them as sophisticated temporal technologies that connect us to dimensions of time that extend far beyond immediate sensory experience. The practical implications of understanding consciousness as a temporal navigation system extend into areas like learning, healing, and personal development. If memory can bridge temporal gaps and create connections between past and future experiences, then perhaps we can learn to use these natural capabilities more intentionally to enhance our lives and expand our understanding of reality. Meditation traditions have long recognized the temporal flexibility of consciousness, teaching practices that allow awareness to transcend ordinary time constraints. Advanced meditators report states where past and future dissolve into an eternal present that feels more real than ordinary temporal experience. While these reports remain subjective, they suggest that consciousness might naturally possess temporal capabilities that transcend the linear flow of physical time. The phenomenon of life review, reported in near-death experiences and certain meditative states, suggests that consciousness might have the ability to access comprehensive temporal information about an entire lifetime simultaneously. Individuals report experiencing their entire lives as a single integrated whole, where the consequences and connections between different moments become clearly visible. This represents a form of temporal perspective that transcends the sequential limitations of ordinary memory. As you absorb these ideas, notice how they begin to transform your understanding of your own relationship to time. Rather than being trapped in the narrow confines of the present moment, you might be participating in temporal processes that naturally connect you to past and future in ways that transcend ordinary causality. Every moment of consciousness becomes a doorway into deeper mysteries about the nature of time, memory, and the extraordinary capabilities of aware existence. The investigation of consciousness-based temporal phenomena continues to reveal connections between mind and reality that challenge our basic assumptions about the relationship between observer and observed. While we cannot definitively prove that consciousness possesses supernatural temporal abilities, The evidence suggests that awareness operates according to principles that extend far beyond what classical neuroscience would predict. This recognition opens new directions for research that could potentially reveal temporal capabilities within consciousness that have remained hidden within the ordinary operations of awareness itself. The systematic investigation of memory, dreams, creativity, and meditative states might uncover forms of temporal navigation that represent the ultimate expression of natural time travel technology. The relationship between consciousness and time also raises profound questions about the nature of personal identity and continuity across temporal boundaries. If consciousness naturally navigates between different temporal dimensions, then personal identity might be far more fluid and multidimensional than we typically assume. The self that experiences this moment might be connected to past and future selves through quantum correlations or information fields that transcend simple biological continuity. Recent research in consciousness studies has begun to explore whether the sense of personal continuity across time might be constructed through specific patterns of brain activity rather than representing an objective feature of reality. This suggests that different states of consciousness might provide access to different forms of temporal identity, potentially including connections to past or future versions of ourselves that exist beyond ordinary biographical memory. As we approach the culmination of our exploration into time travel possibilities, take a moment to reflect on how these investigations have expanded your understanding of your own existence in time. We've journeyed through the mathematical frameworks of relativity and quantum mechanics, explored the exotic possibilities of wormholes and cosmic engineering, and finally arrived at the recognition that consciousness itself might represent the most sophisticated time travel technology in the known universe. What emerges from this comprehensive investigation is not a simple answer to whether time travel is possible, but rather a profound appreciation for the mystery of temporal existence itself. Time is not merely the stage upon which life unfolds, but an active participant in the dance of consciousness, capable of being navigated, explored, and perhaps even transcended through the natural capabilities of aware existence. The search for time travel has revealed that we already inhabit a universe where temporal possibilities exceed our wildest imagination. From the quantum realm, where causality becomes flexible to the cosmic scales, where space-time curves under gravitational influence, to the intimate domain of consciousness, where past, present, and future converge in every moment of awareness, reality contains temporal dimensions that challenge every assumption we hold about the nature of existence. Perhaps most significantly, this exploration has revealed that we ourselves might be the ultimate time travel technology. Through consciousness, memory, and imagination, we have access to forms of temporal experience that transcend the simple forward flow of physical time. Every moment of awareness represents a kind of temporal navigation that integrates multiple temporal dimensions into the unified experience of conscious life. The ultimate significance of time travel research might not lie in building physical machines that transport us through space-time, but in recognizing and developing the temporal capabilities that already exist within consciousness itself. The deepest form of time travel might not involve journeying to different moments in external time, but rather learning to navigate the temporal dimensions of awareness with greater skill and understanding. As you move forward from this exploration, carry with you an appreciation for the extraordinary temporal mystery of your own conscious existence. You are a being capable of remembering the past, imagining the future, and experiencing the eternal present of immediate awareness, all within the space of a single moment. In this capacity alone, you participate in temporal processes that remain at the very frontier of human understanding. The universe may or may not permit the construction of physical time machines, but it has already created something far more remarkable: conscious beings capable of temporal navigation through the natural operations of memory, anticipation, and present moment awareness. The investigation of these natural temporal capabilities represents one of the most promising directions for understanding the deepest mysteries of time, consciousness, and reality itself. And as we conclude this gentle journey through the temporal possibilities hidden within the fabric of our universe and our own awareness, you might find yourself curious about how consciousness navigates, not just through time, but through the subtle communications and synchronicities that surround us in every moment. The same awareness that allows us to remember the past and anticipate the future might also provide access to meaningful patterns and messages that most people overlook, signs from the universe itself that could transform your understanding of your place in the cosmic story. But perhaps the most extraordinary revelation about time and consciousness emerges when we consider the phenomenon of intuitive knowing, those moments when information seems to arrive from beyond the boundaries of logical thought. As you reflect on your own life, you've likely experienced instances where you knew something was true before you could explain why, where solutions appeared fully formed without conscious effort, or where you felt drawn to make decisions that later proved remarkably prescient. This capacity for intuitive insight represents another form of temporal navigation that consciousness performs naturally, though we rarely recognize it as such. When intuition provides knowledge about future events or reveals hidden patterns in present circumstances, it suggests that awareness might have access to information that transcends the linear flow of cause and effect. Recent research in decision science has documented what researchers call the unconscious thought advantage, where complex decisions often yield better outcomes when we stop actively analysing them and allow unconscious processing to occur. This phenomenon suggests that consciousness operates through multiple temporal scales simultaneously, with deeper levels of awareness processing information over extended time periods, while surface consciousness focuses on immediate concerns. The neuroscience underlying intuitive processing reveals something fascinating about the brain's temporal architecture. During moments of insight, brain imaging shows increased activity in the right temporal lobe and decreased activity in the left prefrontal cortex, the region associated with logical analysis. This pattern suggests that intuitive knowing emerges when consciousness shifts away from sequential, analytical thinking toward more holistic, pattern recognition processes that can integrate information across extended temporal scales. Take a moment to consider how intuition operates in your own experience. Perhaps you've had the sense of knowing when someone was about to call, or felt compelled to take an unusual route that later helped you avoid an accident, or experienced sudden clarity about a relationship that seemed to emerge from nowhere. These experiences point toward forms of temporal information processing that extend beyond ordinary conscious awareness. The phenomenon of synchronicity, first described by psychologist Carl Jung, represents another aspect of consciousness that seems to transcend normal temporal boundaries. Synchronicities are meaningful coincidences that appear to connect inner psychological states with outer events in ways that seem too significant to be explained by chance alone. While mainstream science remains appropriately skeptical of synchronistic experiences, their universal occurrence across cultures suggests that consciousness might naturally recognize patterns and connections that extend beyond immediate causal relationships. Jung proposed that synchronicities emerge from what he called the collective unconscious, a deeper level of awareness that connects individual minds through archetypal patterns and shared symbolic meanings. This remains unproven and no scientific consensus exists on these ideas, but Jung's observations point toward possibilities for consciousness that could theoretically access information across extended temporal and spatial scales. The study of synchronicity has revealed interesting connections to quantum mechanical principles, particularly the phenomenon of non-local correlation. Some interpretations suggest, metaphorically speaking, that consciousness might participate in information networks that operate according to principles similar to quantum entanglement, allowing meaningful coincidences to emerge through patterns of correlation that transcend ordinary causality. This is speculative and not a proven scientific fact, but it offers a framework for understanding how consciousness might navigate temporal information in ways that classical neuroscience cannot fully explain. As you contemplate these ideas, notice how they might illuminate experiences in your own life where meaningful coincidences seem to guide your path or provide exactly the information you needed at crucial moments. While we cannot prove that these experiences represent genuine temporal communication, their significance in human life suggests that consciousness naturally recognizes patterns and connections that extend far beyond immediate sensory input. The investigation of intuitive and synchronistic phenomena has also revealed connections to what researchers call presentiment, the apparent of the nervous system to respond to future events before they occur. Laboratory studies have documented measurable changes in heart rate, skin conductance, and brain activity that appear to anticipate randomly determined stimuli by several seconds. These effects are subtle and controversial, but they persist across multiple experimental paradigms with a consistency that challenges purely classical explanations of temporal perception. The Global Consciousness Project, which we mentioned earlier, represents one of the most ambitious attempts to study whether human consciousness might participate in collective information fields that transcend individual awareness. While the project's findings remain disputed within the scientific community, the correlations between global events and random number generator outputs suggest possible connections between consciousness and physical systems that we don't yet fully understand. Recent research in the field of precognitive dreaming has documented cases where individuals report dreaming about future events, with specific details that later prove accurate. While these reports are anecdotal and difficult to verify scientifically, their frequency and cross-cultural consistency suggest that dream consciousness might occasionally access forms of temporal information that transcend ordinary causality. This remains a speculative area of investigation, not established scientific fact, but it points toward possibilities for consciousness that could theoretically extend across temporal boundaries. The phenomenon of remote viewing, where individuals attempt to perceive distant locations or future events through mental focus alone, has been studied extensively by both government agencies and academic researchers. While the results remain controversial and no scientific consensus exists on the mechanism, some studies have documented statistical anomalies that appear to exceed chance probability. These effects, if real, would suggest that consciousness might have access to information that transcends normal spatial and temporal limitations. As you absorb these possibilities, take a breath and consider how they might expand your understanding of your own awareness. Rather than being confined to the immediate contents of sensory experience, consciousness might naturally participate in information networks that connect past, present, and future through principles we're only beginning to glimpse. This doesn't mean that thoughts directly control reality, but rather that awareness might be more interconnected with the larger patterns of existence than we typically recognize. The study of exceptional human experiences has revealed that consciousness appears to operate through multiple levels of processing that extend far beyond ordinary waking awareness. During states of expanded consciousness, whether achieved through meditation, prayer, or spontaneous mystical experience, individuals consistently report access to forms of knowledge and understanding that seem to transcend personal learning and memory. These expanded states often involve what experiencers describe as direct knowing, where complex insights about the nature of reality appear fully formed without the gradual process of logical reasoning. While these experiences remain subjective and difficult to study scientifically, their consistency across cultures and historical periods suggests that consciousness might naturally possess capabilities that extend far beyond what conventional neuroscience would predict. The investigation of mystical and transcendent experiences has revealed interesting parallels with quantum mechanical descriptions of reality. Both domains involve fundamental interconnectedness, non-local correlations, and the breakdown of classical distinctions between observer and observed. This doesn't prove that mystical experiences involve quantum processes, but it suggests that both consciousness and quantum mechanics might reflect deeper principles of cosmic organization that we're only beginning to understand. Recent research in neurotheology, the study of correlations between neural activity and spiritual experience, has revealed that transcendent states involve measurable changes in brain function that correspond to altered perceptions of time, space, and personal identity. During profound mystical experiences, brain regions associated with self-referential thinking show decreased activity, while areas involved in attention and awareness become more active and synchronized. These neurological changes correspond to experiential reports of ego dissolution, cosmic consciousness, and direct perception of universal interconnectedness. While we cannot scientifically verify the metaphysical claims associated with these experiences, their consistent neurological signatures suggest that consciousness naturally possesses modes of operation that transcend ordinary temporal and spatial limitations. The phenomenon of life review, reported in near-death experiences and certain meditative states, represents perhaps the most dramatic example of consciousness transcending normal temporal boundaries. Individuals report experiencing their entire lives as a simultaneous, integrated whole, where the consequences and connections between different moments become clearly visible. This represents a form of temporal perspective that transcends the sequential limitations of ordinary memory and suggests that consciousness might naturally possess access to comprehensive temporal information about personal history. As you contemplate these extraordinary possibilities, notice how they begin to transform your understanding of your own conscious experience. Every moment of awareness might represent a convergence point where multiple temporal dimensions intersect, creating the continuous flow of conscious life through the integration of past memory, present perception, and future anticipation. The practical implications of understanding consciousness as a multidimensional temporal navigation system extend into every aspect of human life. If awareness naturally possesses capabilities that transcend linear time, then perhaps we can learn to recognize and develop these natural abilities more intentionally. This doesn't mean claiming supernatural powers, but rather learning to work more skillfully with the temporal flexibility that consciousness already demonstrates through memory, intuition, and creative insight. The cultivation of present moment awareness through contemplative practices might represent one pathway for accessing the deeper temporal capabilities of consciousness. When we learn to rest attention in the immediate experience of awareness itself, rather than being caught up in the mental narratives about past and future, we might discover forms of knowing and understanding that operate according to principles that transcend ordinary temporal limitations. Advanced meditation practitioners often report that sustained present moment awareness reveals a timeless dimension of consciousness that contains and transcends all temporal experience. This timeless awareness is described not as emptiness or blankness, but as a fullness that includes all possibilities while remaining unbound by any particular content. From this perspective, linear time becomes one dimension of a multi-dimensional reality that consciousness naturally navigates through various modes of attention and awareness. The investigation of consciousness and time has also revealed connections to creativity and innovation that suggest awareness might naturally access information from beyond immediate temporal boundaries. Many of history's greatest creative breakthroughs have emerged through processes that seem to bypass ordinary logical thinking, arriving as sudden insights, dreams, or inspirations that feel like they come from beyond individual consciousness. The phenomenon of collective creativity, where multiple individuals independently arrive at similar innovations simultaneously, suggests that consciousness might participate in larger informational fields that transcend individual minds and potentially even individual lifetimes. While this remains speculative, the historical pattern of simultaneous discovery points toward possibilities for consciousness that could theoretically access shared repositories of knowledge and insight. As you sit with these ideas, take a moment to appreciate the extraordinary mystery of your own existence as a conscious being navigating through time. Every moment of awareness represents a unique convergence of temporal dimensions where past, present, and future meet in the immediate experience of being alive. This convergence happens so naturally that we rarely question its complexity, yet it represents one of the most sophisticated achievements in the known universe. The relationship between consciousness and time also illuminates fundamental questions about the nature of free will and personal agency. If consciousness can access information across temporal boundaries through intuition, synchronicity, and expanded awareness, then perhaps our choices and decisions are informed by knowledge of their future consequences in ways that we don't consciously recognize. This would represent a form of temporal feedback that could help explain the apparent purposefulness and meaning that many people experience in their lives. Recent research in decision science has revealed that people often make optimal choices without being able to explain their reasoning, suggesting that consciousness might have access to information processing capabilities that operate below the threshold of explicit awareness. Some of this processing might involve temporal correlations that allow present decisions to be influenced by their future outcomes through mechanisms that remain to be fully understood. This is a speculative idea, not proven scientific fact, but it points toward possibilities for consciousness that extend far beyond classical models of mind and brain. The investigation of consciousness-based temporal phenomena continues to reveal connections between awareness and reality that challenge basic assumptions about the relationship between mind and the physical world. While we cannot definitively prove that consciousness possesses supernatural temporal abilities, the accumulated evidence suggests that awareness operates according to principles that extend far beyond what conventional neuroscience would predict. This recognition opens new directions for research that could potentially reveal temporal capabilities within consciousness that have remained hidden within the ordinary operations of awareness itself. The systematic investigation of intuition, synchronicity, creativity, and contemplative states might uncover forms of temporal navigation that represent the ultimate expression of natural time travel technology embedded within consciousness itself. The relationship between consciousness and time also raises profound questions about the nature of personal identity and continuity across temporal boundaries. If consciousness naturally navigates between different temporal dimensions through memory, anticipation, and present moment awareness, then personal identity might be far more fluid and multidimensional than we typically assume. The self that experiences this moment might be connected to past and future versions of yourself through information networks or correlation patterns that transcend simple biological continuity. Recent research in consciousness studies has begun to explore whether the sense of personal continuity across time might be constructed through specific patterns of brain activity rather than representing an objective feature of reality. This suggests that different states of consciousness might provide access to different forms of temporal identity, potentially including connections to aspects of yourself that exist beyond ordinary biographical memory. The phenomenon of personality changes following profound spiritual experiences suggests that consciousness might not be as fixed or bounded as we typically assume. Individuals who undergo mystical experiences often report feeling connected to a larger identity that transcends personal history, as if they've accessed aspects of themselves that exist beyond the limitations of individual memory and conditioning. As we approach the culmination of our exploration into the deepest mysteries of time and consciousness, take a moment to reflect on how these investigations might transform your understanding of your own existence. We've journeyed through the mathematical frameworks of physics, explored exotic possibilities for temporal manipulation, and arrived at the recognition that consciousness itself might represent the most sophisticated time travel technology in existence. What emerges from this comprehensive investigation is not a simple answer to whether time travel is possible, but rather a profound appreciation for the mystery of conscious existence itself. Time is not merely a dimension through which we move passively, but an active aspect of reality that consciousness navigates, explores, and perhaps even transcends through the natural operations of awareness, memory, and insight. The search for time travel has revealed that we already inhabit a universe where temporal possibilities exceed our wildest imagination. From quantum realms where causality becomes flexible to cosmic scales, where space-time curves under gravitational influence to the intimate domain of consciousness, where past, present, and future converge in every moment of awareness, reality contains temporal dimensions that challenge every assumption we hold about the nature of existence. Perhaps most significantly, this exploration has revealed that we ourselves might already be the ultimate time travel technology. Through consciousness, memory, intuition, and contemplative awareness, we have access to forms of temporal experience that transcend the simple forward flow of physical time. Every moment of awareness represents a kind of temporal navigation that integrates multiple dimensions of time into the unified experience of conscious life. The ultimate significance of time travel research might not lie in building physical machines that transport us through space-time, but in recognizing and developing the temporal capabilities that already exist within consciousness itself. The deepest form of time travel might not involve journeying to different moments in external time, but rather learning to navigate the temporal dimensions of awareness with greater skill, understanding, and appreciation for the extraordinary mystery of conscious existence. As you continue beyond this exploration, carry with you a sense of wonder at the profound temporal mystery of your own conscious existence. You are a being capable of remembering the past, intuiting the future, and experiencing the eternal present of immediate awareness, all within the space of a single moment. In this capacity alone, you participate in temporal processes that remain at the very frontier of human understanding. The universe may or may not permit the construction of physical time machines, but it has already created something far more remarkable. Conscious beings capable of temporal navigation through the natural operations of memory, anticipation, intuition, and present moment awareness. The investigation of these natural temporal capabilities represents one of the most promising directions for understanding the deepest mysteries of time, consciousness, and reality itself. The journey we've taken together reveals that the question, is time travel possible?, opens into far deeper mysteries about the nature of existence itself. Whether through the exotic physics of curved space-time, the quantum realm's temporal flexibility, or the extraordinary capabilities of consciousness to navigate past, present, and future simultaneously, we discover that reality is far stranger and more wonderful than our everyday experience suggests. And as we conclude this gentle journey through the temporal possibilities hidden within the fabric of our universe and the depths of our own awareness, you might find yourself curious about how consciousness navigates, not just through time, but through the subtle communications and meaningful patterns that surround us in every moment. The same awareness that allows us to remember the past and anticipate the future might also provide access to guidance and synchronicities that most people overlook, signs from the universe itself that could transform your understanding of your place in the cosmic story. Picture this. At the very moment you decide to remember something from yesterday, your brain performs a feat that might be impossible according to classical physics. Neurons that fired in specific patterns days or even years ago somehow coordinate across vast networks of brain tissue to recreate not just information, but the actual felt experience of that remembered moment. This reconstruction happens faster than conscious thought, suggesting that memory operates according to principles that transcend the simple storage and retrieval model we typically imagine. What you're witnessing isn't just biological efficiency, it's a demonstration that consciousness routinely accomplishes what theoretical physicists have spent decades trying to understand. The ability to connect information across time in ways that seem to bypass normal causality. Every act of remembering represents a form of temporal navigation so sophisticated that we've barely begun to appreciate its implications. This phenomenon points towards something profound about the relationship between consciousness and time itself. While we've explored how exotic physics might permit time travel through curved space-time and quantum mechanisms, there's another pathway hiding in plain sight within the ordinary operations of awareness itself. Memory isn't just a record of the past, it's an active bridge that allows present consciousness to interface directly with previous moments of experience. Recent neuroscience research has revealed that when you vividly recall a specific memory, many of the same neural networks that were active during the original experience become active again. Your brain doesn't simply access stored data like a computer retrieving a file. Instead, it partially recreates the neural state that existed during the remembered event, allowing you to re-experience aspects of that moment from within your current awareness. This process involves what neuroscientists call pattern completion, where partial cues trigger the reconstruction of entire experiential networks. When you smell fresh bread and suddenly find yourself transported back to your grandmother's kitchen, you're not just accessing information about that environment. You're briefly recreating the neural conditions that existed during those original moments, complete with emotional textures and sensory details that haven't been consciously accessible for years. As you contemplate this idea, take a moment to notice how memory operates in your own experience right now. Perhaps you can recall a moment from early this morning when you first opened your eyes, or a conversation from yesterday that carried particular meaning. Notice how accessing that memory doesn't feel like reading words on a page, but more like briefly stepping back into that earlier moment, bringing aspects of its reality into your present awareness. This capacity for temporal reconstruction through memory becomes even more intriguing when we consider its implications for personal identity across time. The sense of being the same person who experienced events in your past depends entirely on consciousness's ability to maintain continuity across temporal gaps. Every night when you sleep, conscious awareness disappears for hours, yet you wake up with an unbroken sense of identity that spans the unconscious interval. This continuity isn't maintained through any simple mechanism. During sleep, your brain cycles through different phases of activity, processing memories, consolidating experiences, and sometimes generating dreams that blend past events with imaginary scenarios. The identity that emerges each morning represents a kind of temporal reconstruction where consciousness weaves together fragments from different time periods into a coherent sense of ongoing selfhood. The phenomenon becomes even more mysterious when we examine how memory can be modified through the very act of remembering. Each time you recall a specific event, the neural networks involved in that memory become temporarily unstable, open to influence from your current emotional state and recent experiences. This means that remembering isn't a passive retrieval process, but an active reconstruction that subtly changes the memory itself. Scientists have discovered that memories aren't fixed recordings, but dynamic patterns that evolve each time they're accessed. This suggests that the past, as experienced through memory, remains surprisingly fluid. Every act of remembering involves a subtle collaboration between past and present consciousness, creating new versions of remembered events that blend historical accuracy with current understanding. Take a breath and consider what this might mean for your understanding of personal history. The childhood memories you carry aren't perfect recordings of what actually happened, but rather ongoing creations that emerge from the interaction between past experiences and present consciousness. Your remembered past continues to evolve as you do, creating a form of temporal dialogue between different versions of yourself across time. This fluid quality of memory connects to broader questions about the nature of time itself. If the past can be modified through present remembering, then the distinction between fixed history and open future becomes less clear-cut. Memory suggests that consciousness operates in a kind of temporal loop where past and present continuously influence each other through processes that transcend simple causality. The investigation of memory's temporal properties has revealed connections to creativity and problem solving that seem to involve forms of temporal integration we don't yet fully understand. Many breakthrough insights in science, art, and personal life emerge not through linear reasoning, but through sudden moments when disparate memories recombine into novel ways, creating new understanding that feels both familiar and surprising. This process of creative recombination suggests that consciousness might naturally access information across extended temporal scales, drawing connections between experiences that occurred at different times to generate insights that transcend the sum of their parts. The capacity for creative synthesis through memory represents a form of temporal intelligence that operates according to principles we're only beginning to recognize. Recent research in cognitive science has begun to explore what researchers call constructive episodic simulation, the ability to recombine memories from different time periods to imagine future scenarios. This capacity allows consciousness to project itself forward through time by drawing on past experiences to construct detailed mental models of possible futures. When you imagine how a conversation might unfold or visualize the steps needed to complete a complex project, you're engaging in a sophisticated form of temporal navigation that combines memory retrieval with creative projection. This process suggests that consciousness naturally operates across multiple temporal dimensions simultaneously, using past experience to inform present decisions and shape future possibilities. The phenomenon of prospective memory, which we touched on earlier, represents another aspect of consciousness's temporal sophistication. Your ability to remember to do something in the future requires maintaining intentions across temporal gaps that might span minutes, hours, or even years. This capacity involves consciousness existing simultaneously in present awareness and future-oriented planning, creating temporal bridges that guide behavior across extended time periods. As you absorb these ideas, notice how they illuminate the extraordinary complexity of what you might take for granted as simple mental processes. Every moment of consciousness involves the seamless integration of memory, perception, and anticipation in ways that create the unified experience of temporal existence. This integration happens so naturally that we rarely question its remarkable sophistication. The study of memory disorders has provided additional insights into consciousness's relationship with time. Individuals with anterograde amnesia, who cannot form new memories after brain injury, experience a kind of temporal imprisonment where each moment exists in isolation without connection to past or future. Their condition reveals how dependent normal consciousness is on temporal integration for creating meaningful experience. Conversely, individuals with hypothymesia, who possess extraordinarily detailed autobiographical memory, report experiencing past events with such vividness that they can become overwhelmed by the constant presence of previous experiences. Their condition suggests that memory normally operates with sophisticated filtering mechanisms that allow consciousness to maintain appropriate temporal boundaries while still accessing relevant information from the past. These memory variations reveal that temporal consciousness exists along a spectrum of possibilities, from extreme isolation in the present moment to overwhelming integration across extended time periods. The normal operation of memory represents a delicate balance that allows consciousness to navigate temporal information without becoming lost in either complete disconnection from the past or overwhelming immersion in previous experiences. The relationship between memory and emotion adds another layer to consciousness's temporal complexity. Emotional memories appear to be processed and stored differently from purely factual information, often retaining vivid detail and immediate accessibility across much longer time periods. A traumatic event from decades ago might be remembered with startling clarity, while routine events from last week fade into vague impressions. This emotional prioritization of memory suggests that consciousness naturally emphasizes temporally significant experiences based on their meaning rather than their chronological proximity. The past that remains accessible through memory isn't simply the most recent past, but rather the most emotionally or personally significant past, creating a subjective timeline that reflects individual values and experiences rather than objective chronology. The phenomenon of flashbulb memories, where highly significant events are remembered with exceptional detail and clarity, demonstrates consciousness's capacity to create temporal anchors that maintain their vividness across extended periods. These memories often feel more real and immediate than recent experiences, suggesting that emotional significance can transcend normal temporal decay processes. As you contemplate these patterns in memory formation and retrieval, consider how they might operate in your own experience. Which memories from your past remain most vivid and accessible? Often, these aren't the most recent events, but rather moments that carried particular emotional weight or personal meaning, regardless of when they occurred. This selective preservation of significant memories creates a subjective past that might bear little resemblance to objective chronology. The landscape of personal history that consciousness navigates through memory is shaped more by meaning and emotion than by temporal sequence, creating a kind of psychological time that operates according to principles quite different from physical time. The investigation of memory consolidation has revealed that significant memories undergo a process of strengthening over time, becoming more rather than less accessible as they age. This process, called systems consolidation, involves the gradual transfer of memory traces from the hippocampus to the cortex, where they become integrated with broader networks of knowledge and experience. During this consolidation process, memories don't simply move from one location to another, they transform, becoming abstracted from their original context and integrated with related experiences and knowledge. This transformation allows old memories to inform new situations and contribute to the development of a wisdom and insight that emerges from accumulated experience. The time-dependent nature of memory consolidation suggests that the past continues to evolve within consciousness long after events have occurred. Experiences from years or decades ago might suddenly become relevant to present circumstances through connections that weren't apparent at the time, revealing patterns and meanings that emerge only through temporal integration across extended periods. This delayed understanding represents another form of temporal dialogue between different moments of consciousness, where past experiences contribute to insights that become available only after sufficient time has passed for consolidation and integration to occur. The wisdom that comes with age might reflect not just accumulated experience, but also the natural temporal processes through which consciousness transforms raw experience into deeper understanding. Recent research has also revealed that memory formation and retrieval involve prediction mechanisms that allow consciousness to anticipate future needs for information. The brain doesn't simply store experiences randomly, but appears to organize memory networks based on their potential relevance to future situations, creating what researchers call predictive encoding. This predictive aspect of memory suggests that consciousness naturally operates with temporal foresight, organizing past experiences in ways that optimize their availability for future use. The memories that remain most accessible aren't necessarily those that were most intense at the time, but rather those that the brain predicts might be most useful for navigating future challenges and opportunities. Take a moment to notice how this predictive quality might operate in your own memory. Often seemingly random memories surface at exactly the moments when they're most relevant, as if consciousness has been quietly preparing for situations by maintaining access to potentially useful past experiences. This phenomenon suggests a kind of temporal intelligence that operates below the threshold of conscious awareness. The study of memory in different cultural contexts has revealed that the organization and emphasis of personal memories can vary significantly based on cultural values and narrative structures. Individuals from cultures that emphasize collective identity and interdependence often organize memories differently than those from cultures that prioritize individual achievement and autonomy. These cultural variations in memory organization suggest that consciousness's relationship with personal history is shaped not only by individual experience, but also by larger cultural patterns that influence which aspects of the past are considered significant and worth preserving. The temporal landscape of memory reflects not just personal experience, but also collective understanding about what kinds of experiences deserve to be remembered. This cultural dimension of memory reveals that consciousness's temporal navigation occurs within broader social and historical contexts that shape the meaning and organization of personal experience. Individual memory exists within networks of shared understanding that influence how past experiences are interpreted and integrated into ongoing life narratives. As you sit with these ideas about memory, culture, and temporal consciousness, take a breath and consider how your own relationship with the past might be influenced by the cultural context in which you've lived. The memories you carry and the ways you organize your personal history reflect not just individual experience, but also collective patterns of meaning-making that shape consciousness across different societies and historical periods. The investigation of memory and consciousness has also revealed connections to broader questions about the nature of identity and continuity across time. If memory is constantly being reconstructed and modified through the act of remembering, then personal identity might be far more fluid and dynamic than we typically assume. The self that experiences this moment might be connected to past versions of yourself through processes that involve continuous creation rather than simple preservation. This dynamic view of identity across time suggests that consciousness might be engaged in an ongoing project of self-creation that draws on past experiences while remaining open to transformation and growth. Rather than being trapped by personal history, consciousness might use memory as raw material for the continuous creation of identity that can evolve and develop throughout life. The phenomenon of life review, reported in near-death experiences and certain contemplative states, suggests that consciousness might possess the capacity to experience personal history from perspectives that transcend normal temporal limitations. Individuals report experiencing their entire lives simultaneously as integrated wholes where the connections and consequences between different moments become clearly visible. While these reports remain subjective and difficult to study scientifically, their consistency across cultures points toward possibilities for consciousness that could theoretically access comprehensive temporal information about personal experience. This remains a speculative idea, not proven scientific fact, but it suggests that consciousness might naturally possess capabilities for temporal integration that extend far beyond ordinary memory processes. Recent developments in virtual reality and digital technology have begun to create new possibilities for exploring memory and temporal consciousness through artificial environments. Virtual reality systems can now create convincing simulations of past environments, allowing individuals to revisit locations from their personal history with unprecedented vividness. These technological tools are beginning to reveal how consciousness distinguishes between real memories and artificial experiences, providing new insights into the mechanisms that underlie temporal awareness. The ability to create convincing artificial memories raises profound questions about the nature of authentic experience and the relationship between consciousness and external reality. As virtual and augmented reality technologies continue to develop, they may provide new pathways for exploring consciousness's temporal capabilities. The possibility of creating shared virtual environments where multiple individuals can explore artificial timelines together opens up entirely new possibilities for understanding how consciousness navigates temporal information in social and collective contexts. The intersection of memory research with artificial intelligence has also begun to reveal insights about the nature of temporal information processing. AI systems designed to model human memory processes have discovered that effective temporal navigation requires sophisticated mechanisms for organizing, prioritizing, and retrieving information across extended time periods. These artificial memory systems suggest that consciousness's temporal capabilities represent solutions to complex information processing challenges that require sophisticated organizational principles. The effortless way human consciousness navigates temporal information reflects underlying computational processes that remain at the cutting edge of artificial intelligence research. As you contemplate these connections between memory, consciousness, and technology, consider how they might illuminate aspects of your own temporal experience. The natural capabilities of consciousness for memory formation, retrieval, and temporal integration represent achievements that current technology can only approximate, revealing the extraordinary sophistication of ordinary awareness. The study of memory and consciousness continues to reveal new dimensions of temporal experience that challenge our basic assumptions about the relationship between mind and time. Each discovery points toward a vision of consciousness as a temporal navigation system of extraordinary sophistication, capable of integrating information across multiple timescales to create the unified experience of conscious existence. Perhaps most significantly, this research suggests that we already possess natural time travel capabilities through the ordinary operations of consciousness itself. Every moment of remembering represents a form of temporal navigation that connects present awareness with past experience. Every act of anticipation projects consciousness into possible futures. Every instant of present moment awareness exists at the convergence point where all temporal dimensions meet. The ultimate time machine might not be a device built from exotic matter and curved space-time, but consciousness itself, operating according to principles that naturally transcend the linear flow of physical time. The deepest form of time travel might involve learning to navigate the temporal dimensions of awareness with greater skill and appreciation for the extraordinary mystery of conscious existence in time. So here we find ourselves at the end of our gentle exploration through the deepest mysteries of temporal possibility. We've journeyed from Einstein's elegant equations through the exotic landscapes of curved space-time, from quantum mechanical paradoxes to the extraordinary capabilities hidden within ordinary consciousness itself. And perhaps what we've discovered is not a definitive answer to whether time travel is possible, but something far more profound, a recognition that we are already time travelers in ways we rarely pause to appreciate. Every moment you've spent listening to these ideas has demonstrated the universe's most sophisticated temporal technology in action. Your consciousness has effortlessly woven together memories from decades past with anticipations of tomorrow's possibilities, all while maintaining the flowing presence of immediate awareness. This seamless integration of temporal dimensions represents a form of time travel so fundamental that we barely notice its extraordinary nature. The search for time travel has revealed that reality is far stranger and more wonderful than our everyday experience suggests. From quantum realms where causality becomes fluid, to cosmic scales where space-time bends under gravitational influence, the universe contains temporal pathways that stretch far beyond the boundaries of ordinary perception. Yet perhaps the most remarkable discovery is that consciousness itself operates according to principles that naturally transcend the simple forward flow of physical time. Whether through the well-established physics of time dilation, the exotic possibilities of wormholes and cosmic strings, or the mysterious capabilities of awareness to navigate memory, intuition, and present moment experience simultaneously, we inhabit a cosmos where temporal possibilities exceed our wildest imagination. The ultimate time machine may not be a device built from exotic matter, but the extraordinary phenomenon of consciousness itself, capable of temporal navigation through the natural operations of memory, anticipation, and contemplative awareness. As you continue forward from this exploration, carry with you a sense of wonder at the profound temporal mystery of your own existence. You are a conscious being embedded in the flow of cosmic history, capable of remembering the past and imagining the future, while experiencing the eternal present of immediate awareness. In this capacity alone, you participate in temporal processes that remain at the very frontier of human understanding, a living demonstration that the impossible might already be unfolding quietly within the depths of ordinary experience. Possible might already be unfolding quietly within the depths of ordinary experience.